Welcome to Morgan Franklin Fellowship Soft Skills Tools for Your Success workshop. Many recent studies are suggesting that by 2025, complex problems solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, and emotional intelligence would be among the most important skills required in the workplace. Another study of hiring leaders found soft skills are an essential or very important element when making hiring decisions. What's even more interesting is many employers reported that soft skills are more important than technical skills in the workplace. So today we invite you to join us as we talk about these soft skills, what they are, why they are important, and how to develop your own to put in your personal toolbox. Our presenter today describes herself as an experienced, hands-on, forward thinker, sleeves rolled up manager, and a community leader. And I would add a few more. She's a teacher, a coach, and a mentor. Since October of 2018, Judi Window has served as the Executive Director of Morgan Franklin Fellowship Foundation. And in March 2020, she became an entrepreneur as she opened Diz's Cafe, a neighborhood eatery in downtown Manchester, with her husband. Her specialties include management, operations, team building, social media, customer service, small business, government work, and nonprofit development. She also specializes in marketing and public relations. She is definitely an expert in today's topic, developing those all-important soft skills for everyone to put in their professional toolbox. Please join me in welcoming Judi Window. Judi, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Tori. So words to live by, words to live by. That is something that the founder of Morgan Franklin Fellowship pretty much taught me over time. He's an avid reader, Peter Morgan, and he really likes Robert Fulghum. And one of the first things 30 years ago that he told me to read, or he requested that I read, was All I Really Needed to Know, I Learned in Kindergarten. So as I was thinking about this presentation today, I was thinking, where do we learn how to excel at these soft skills? And I was thinking, well, basically we learn it all our lives, from the time we're really, really little to the time you kind of leave the workplace, but also it's just everything every day. If you're reading through this list right now, you'll pick out some things that you may have learned over the course of time, but also you may have learned early on in your life. The three things that stuck out really quickly to me is I just scan through really quickly. So scan through really quickly because others will be something you resonate with. Mine was play fair. I still do that today. Clean up your own mess. I hear my mother's voice ringing in my ears. And live a balanced life. And that is always really hard to do, particularly nowadays with so many things going on and being multiple different personalities, whether you're a sister or a brother or a son or a student or a mother or a wife or whatever it is. You really do have to take control of your own life and live a balanced life, which means, from Fulghum, he said, learn some, drink some, draw some, paint some, sing and dance and play and work some every day. And that really reminded me about Ben Franklin. And that's part of why this organization is called Morgan Franklin, from Peter Morgan, as inspired by Ben Franklin. In our curriculum, we have a full, well, not a full course, but a micro learning course about Ben Franklin. And it really plays up his 13 virtues, which is temperance, silence, order, resolution, frugality, industry, sincerity, justice, moderation, cleanliness, tranquility, chastity, and humility. Now, all those words are kind of old-fashioned words, but they're very interesting, and they really are the crux of what soft skills are. So today I took the opportunity to really kind of bring it home and bring it up to date for us. So what is the definition of soft skills? So the definition of soft skills, Tori, could you change the slide, please? Thank you. So the definition of soft skills from Wikipedia is soft skills, also known as common skills or core skills, are skills that are desirable in all professions, all professions. These skills include critical thinking, problem solving, public speaking, professional writing, teamwork, digital literacy, leadership, professional aptitude, work ethic, career management, and intellectual fluency, sometimes known as people skills. That's a lot, and that's what Wikipedia calls soft skills. So I went out and I talked to some people that are basically in human resources or in management positions. I've also talked with our coworkers and some students that we have at Morgan Franklin Fellowship. And I said, what are the important soft skills that come to mind when I ask that question? And so I've taken all of those ideas and I've really put them into 4 different categories, which are what I think kind of represent everything else that can flow into here, which is communication, time management, adaptability, collaboration. And thinking about these 4, we can really kind of give examples of them. And over here on the side, you'll see some of the tips. So when you get this presentation, you'll be able to click through and look through some of those tips. And remember, soft skills and pieces of the soft skills that you'll need at different excuse me, areas in your life, excuse me, different areas in your, or times, I should say, in your life are going to be different. You're going to learn as you go along, but you're also going to practice as you go along. And that's what I'm going to suggest to you today, is that you pick out a couple of these and start practicing. Practicing really never ends. Like when you think about yoga practice or baseball practice, you just keep doing it and doing it. Professionals do it because they know that there's always something new to learn. So I'm suggesting practice. So let's talk a little bit about the different kinds of skills. Under communication, I nudged in networking, presentation, interview, follow-up, listening, time management. I kind of did an overview of kind of organizing or planning, calendaring, which some people don't do. If I didn't have a calendar, I wouldn't know where to go every second of my day. Practice again. Time management is all about practice. Being on time, or better yet, be early. So time management isn't only about you, it's about other people. Adaptability, I put under there flexibility, creative thinking, conflict resolution, willing to ask for help, which I always had a really hard time with up until probably recently. I would say in the last 10 years, it took me a lot of time and a lot of practice to ask for help. So that was one of the things that I continue to work on. And accepting change. Collaboration, I stuck teamwork, leadership, problem solving, open to new ideas, touching base with your teammates. All of these things make up soft skills, which I am sure you could add many more to that list. So now let's take a look at the next slide, which will kind of talk about the differences between soft skills and hard skills. And these are really about soft skills are the people skills, like we talked about, that you can use in an everyday job. How you achieve them is practice over time. They either come naturally to some or hard for others. It's an evolution. It's hard to evaluate. So soft, because it's hard to evaluate. This is why we usually go for in-person interviews. So if you are doing your written interview, they usually ask you to come in for an in-person interview, because that's how they're going to judge some of your soft skills, as opposed to hard skills, which are more concrete and specific to your job or required to do your job. So how do you achieve those? You achieve those by going to school, training, or maybe previous work experience. And how do you evaluate those? They're very measurable. So I guess the real key difference would be hard skills are measurable and soft skills are really hard to evaluate. It's almost a personal evaluation. So the top 3 soft skills that are ranked by recruiters and hiring managers in 2020, the top 3: teamwork, 57%. We put that in the collaboration. Communication, 55%. Time management, 46%. And let's take a look at a couple of the others. So if you look down the row, problem solving, I put that into the communications and adaptability. Creativity. So adaptability, where there's creative thinking, but also communication and collaboration. So some skills take multiple components to learn. Leadership, they touch all 4 categories, I believe: communications, time management, adaptability, and thinking about how others might grow or how others express themselves. That's how you learn about leadership. Listening skills, those are key. Now we can take one at a time. So communications, let's look at communications, Tori. I don't think, unless you're really, really born with this, it's really hard to do. Even the famous people who are communicators, who go up on stage and do speaking engagements, or are professional actors, have a really hard time with communications. It is not a natural thing for most people, and you'll definitely won't be able to do it on day one. So how can you incorporate some of these things into your daily routine? Well, first of all, it depends on you, which ones you want to do. So my suggestion, just pick out one that you're going to do. So networking, I do pretty well. I like it. I was brought up in a big family. I learned it mostly from the theater, which I was in from the age 11 till I was 21. We had to go out in the audience. We had to network with people. We had to talk to people. So I learned it at a young age. And when you're young, you can kind of do these sort of things. So I was very comfortable with it, but I do continue to practice it all the time. I go to conferences when we can, attend club meetings or chamber meetings, or even on Zoom. I mean, you really learn to network when you have to. So don't stop just because you think you're proficient at it. Keep it going. If I look down to presentation skills, how I did this, because I can't remember anything. Like, I have a really hard time, unless I'm telling a story, I have a really hard time memorizing and spitting something out. So what I did was I co-presented with the college dean through a nonprofit that I worked with. And that was so fun because he actually did the teaching part of it, and the memorizing and this, and 49% does this and 50% does that. And then I would just respond to what he was talking about. So I would say, I would be what I would call a color commentator. So I would just add the flavor to what he was talking about, or add a story, a Judi story, as they always called it. I think this is a really easy way to do it. I call this the coattail method. So just grab onto somebody's coattail that has really good presentation skills and follow them around. Ask them if you could be on a panel with them. So you're not the spotlight all the time, that you can just kind of comfortably listen to what that person's saying. It will come. And then I took a free public speaking course, which I recommended that they start, because I wanted to learn more from a professional. I learned over time that I wasn't a good person to memorize. I couldn't do a speech where I would have to, read a speech, not my cup of tea, but I could do talking points and I could remember through stories that I came up with in my head. So for the other ones, like interview skills, go on interviews. It doesn't have to be for a job. Just you could be interviewing somebody else. Think about that. How would I want somebody to interview me and interview them? And just take it from there. Following up, another thing that I have such a hard time doing. And again, Peter Morgan, he taught me, do it immediately, Judi. Don't hang up the phone. Don't take a moment. Write that letter, write that email, follow up immediately. So I've kept that in my repertoire and I think about it. I don't always do it, but I think about it a lot. But I'm pretty good at following up now because that I just practiced it for so many years. And then listening, I'm still working on that one. Okay, let's go to the next one, which is time management. Okay, so time management. This is something that I am sorry, I don't know why my throat is just excuse me. So time management, this is the one that came up top of everybody's list that I asked. And I think it's basically because a lot of people are struggling with this now, you know, being home and then trying to get back into the workforce and having to have your kids at home. It's really a tough time right now. So practicing is really going to help. You have to be organized. You know, it's tough. One thing that I learned, this was when I was in banking. We had somebody come in talking about time management and, you know, because it's stressful, especially, I mean, you think to sit at a desk all day seems pretty easy, but it is very stressful, the work. And the person said, just take your paper clips and sort them. Sort them. Big paper clip, small paper clip, just for 2 minutes. 2 minutes out of your day and do that. That starts getting you thinking about being organized. And then every time you go for a paper clip, there's the small ones, there's the big ones. It's just a little step, just a little rest for your brain to help you organize. Or put your keys in the same place every day. My parents have a bowl by their door and they put the keys in the bowl. It seems like something little, but it keeps you organized. Planning. This is a big one, particularly for those who I talk to, and thank you for everybody that I talk to. Getting up an hour early when you're not a morning person, if you have a morning job, is a really hard thing to do. Either change your job and admit to yourself you'll never be a morning person. My husband will never be a morning person. He likes getting up late and he likes going to bed late, hence working at a restaurant. But if you do have to get up, go to school or take a class or do your job, try getting up 15 minutes early for a week and see how that goes. Set your clock to go to bed as well as set your clock to wake up. And try doing that every single day, even on the weekends. So just 15 minutes earlier, go to bed and get up at the same time and see what happens. And maybe you can push it back 15 minutes. Maybe it won't work. Who knows? Just practicing. Remember, there's no right or wrong when you practice. It's just practicing. Calendaring. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I can't live without my calendar and my computer telling me what to do. So my phone tells me where I'm going, what I'm doing, who I'm talking to, and why. So I'm very detailed about my calendar and where I need to go and who I need to talk to and what they said before, because I have a lot on my calendar. As Tori mentioned, I work for 3 different companies. I have my own company and we have the restaurant. So I have a lot on my plate. And sometimes they overlap. So I may be talking to somebody from one company, but I could bring in the ideas from another company. So it gets a little bit complicated sometimes, but because I'm very organized in my calendar, it helps me remember who I'm talking to and why. I use multiple calendars. I use Google calendars. I really like them because you can be multiple people. And my people that work with me always say, who are you today, Judi? And I have to say, okay, am I here? Am I there? What calendar am I looking at? But once you get that organized, it's great. I even have a calendar with my bills. So my calendar tells me when my bill is due or what bills are coming up. So that's another way you can calendar anything, because Google is really good at that. And I'm sure other programs are, but I particularly like Google. And again, I talked about practicing every day. I looked at the definition of practice, and it says to perform an activity or exercise, a skill repeatedly or regularly in order to improve or maintain one's proficiency. So every day, try it every day. And it doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to pick every single one of these and do every single one of these. Just one, just pick one. Soft skills are going to be with you for the rest of your life. So you don't need to have them all today. What's on your agenda for the next week? What are some things that you can work with? And then back to the being early. Be early, be early, be early. I can't stress that enough. And I know I've been talking a lot about Peter Morgan, but he did influence my life. I've worked with him for about 30 years. And 30 years ago, he taught me, we were in a meeting and I was young. And so I was running the meeting and he said to me, Judi, look around this room. How much money is in this room? How much money, time, people's time? They came here. You had to rent the room or get it organized, all the time that you prepared. How much money is going into this 1 hour meeting? And act accordingly. Be on time, be ready. And when it's over, it's over. So I always pride myself on starting on time and ending on time. Okay, I just had to look at the clock to make sure that I wasn't going over time. Being on time is actually respecting another person's worth. And that's how I think about it. So it's not me being on time for a job. It's me respecting my boss or respecting my workmates to be there on time. Okay, next, adaptability. This one, is interesting because it kind of like engages a lot of different pieces. So flexibility, get out of your comfort zone. Do something that's easy for you to accept a little bit, but will build upon important issues. So, you might drive a different way home. I know that sounds kind of weird, but we all are creatures of habit and we'll drive the same way home. So if you want to practice your flexibility, drive a different way home, park in a different parking spot, sit in a different seat. It's really, really hard to do. Or in yoga, we would do clasp your hands one way and then move your fingers over. It's just very uncomfortable. And that would be a practice for flexibility. Creative thinking. Well, to me, I'm a creative thinker by nature. So practicing that is always my most fun. And I know some people over here sitting in this corner, I drive them crazy because I'm a big thinker. Join a brainstorming group. Join a group that specifically or start one that specifically just brainstorms. Nothing interesting, just brainstorm the color blue. Brainstorm your next vacation with your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend or your family. That's how you'll sharpen those skills. And then as you're getting used to that sort of thing, apply them to your school, to your work environments, and it'll help you think through that. And it'll also help you get to know other people. Conflict resolution, again, start small. You see kids fighting, a group of children fighting, how are you going to stop them from arguing or stealing one another's ball? Do you have conflict in your family? Can you work on conflict resolution close at home? And if that doesn't work for you, join a group or volunteer for a social service where you could lend your skills and learn about conflict resolution. Sometimes when you join a nonprofit group or a volunteer group, they'll train you. So then you can take that training, even though it's not related to what you are doing in your life or your work, but it'll train you for lifelong soft skills and accept change. This is a hard one for a lot of people. So I guess what you would have to do is think about what makes you very uncomfortable to change. And then just practice on that one. I change a lot, probably more than I should, but I'm really open to change, and I like that feeling. I think it's because I'm a creative thinker and I always like to think of different ways to get to where I want to get. So changing is one of them. But if you're not really good at this, have somebody help you. Have somebody say, okay, what is something about me that I should change or I could change? And then practice that. All right, we're getting down to the end. So collaboration. Collaboration, some people have a hard time with this. Some people do it pretty easily. I think nowadays, the workplace and school are kind of going into this teamwork mode. I heard that word a lot when I was asking this question to various people. Find a team, right? If you want to practice teamwork, find a team, whether it's a sports team or a quilting group. I don't care what it is, whatever you like to do, find a team of people and think about it as your team and work with them, practice with them. Think about the team dynamics and then take it and apply it in a workspace. You might be able to do this in your workspace. Maybe you volunteer to head up a committee at your workplace. Maybe it's the food committee or the sunshine committee or anything, whatever you like to do. That's what you should volunteer for, because when you're practicing these sort of things, it should be things that you really want to either change or implement in your life. Why start with the hard stuff? Life should be pretty easy. So start with the low hanging fruit, as they say. And I think leadership, that's, to me, you can really, there's so many things. You can go to a church group or a scouts or a theater group or whatever and volunteer your time. You don't, even if you are a checkout person at a grocery store, you could be a leader in a small group of a theater. Or I just met a girl last night who worked at Market Basket, and she is learning how to be an EMT. And she just took charge. It was amazing. And I'm sure she doesn't do that in her daily work, in her regular work job. She's doing it as a learning tool in the profession that she's chosen to become. I'd say, I know some people, I won't use their name, but they worked as a second in person, somebody who was the administrative assistant to somebody for a long time. They never took a leadership role at their workplace, but they were the head of their condo association. They ran the whole thing, and it was a really large condo association. And that person shined doing that job. So never underestimate who you might think your next leader is. So be watching for that next leader, and also pick things from that leader that you like that you could emulate if you wanted to become a leader. Problem solving, again, start small. Think about little problems in your life. Maybe think about what soft skill is giving you a problem and solve it. Be open to new ideas. This is hard. This is very hard for a lot of people, but be understanding and accepting. Pick one thing that's bugging you that you're not open to. And as I always say, let go of the rope. If you're struggling to climb that rope because you want it your own way, just let go of it. Nothing bad's going to happen. It's okay. It's okay. So just be open to new ideas and let them happen. And touch base with your teammates. Ask them, how are you? How's your project going? How can I help you? That to me is the epitome of soft skill, is how can I help you is one of the best soft skills. So keeping on your top of mind, the first thing that I talked about, and these were my personal ones that came out to me, yours will be different. Play fair, clean up your own mess, and live a balanced life. Thank you.
Judi, this has been fabulous. Thank you so much. I love the idea of how can I help you? What a wonderful thought and a way to think about what's in your toolkit and how you can learn from others, share with others, be part of a team. Really great wisdom. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
We thank you for joining all of us today here at Morgan Franklin Fellowship. If you have not had the chance to learn a little bit about our organization, we teach people how to save, invest, and grow their money while providing all of the folks that we work with real world opportunities to develop their business, and in this case, personal confidence. We like to do that as groups. We like to do that one person at a time. So we encourage you today to visit us at morganfranklinfellowship.com. Follow us on social media. We will get you a link to Judi's recorded presentation today for you to share with others. We'll also be featuring this on a blog on our website shortly. So again, we thank you for joining us. We wish you a great day. Judi, again, thank you for being with us today and sharing just a few words of wisdom. Have a great day, everyone.